to the Drew Sutton Leadership Show, lighting the way with real leaders, real stories, and real impact. Because when leaders stop growing, the darkness wins. All right, welcome back to another amazing episode of the Drew Sutton Leadership Show. Today, we're going to be answering the question, is your AI strategy quietly turning into your biggest legal liability? To answer that question, we have the great Holly Hartman. She's a fractional chief AI officer, international best-selling author, and founder of Future Workplace Systems. She helps organizations shift from AI chaos to governance because unmanaged AI isn't just risky, it's creating a real liability. Her mission is to turn AI from a hidden threat into a controlled strategic advantage for you and your company. So without further ado, welcome to the show, Holly.
Hello, I'm glad to be here. Thanks for letting me be here today, Drew.
Yeah. I was actually going through, I think that we met through Brian Wallace. Is that right?
Yes.
So much fun. I love your I love your persona. I love the red glasses. I love the red outfit. I love the energy that you have. It's just, it's super fun to have another high energy person on the show here.
Yes, I've definitely never been described as somebody with low energy at all. I say, if you've met me, I'm like glitter, you'll never get rid of me again. So welcome.
Like glitter. There was a time where the boys were between 9 and 13-ish, and we did Nerf guns. And Nerf has these little balls, and so they bounce all over. We call them Nerf glitter. So
yeah, I've had those, and I'm still picking them up.
Yes, that's right. We had one like above the cabinet in that old like salad bowl that you had only take out like every third
with the
Christmas
dust
or whatever.
Yeah.
I was like, how did he I don't even really know how that got there. Anyway, well, before we get into the show, so we're talking about the tension of AI and AI governance. And when we were chatting, I was like, oh, I immediately have to have you on the show because on the one hand, all the consultants, me being one, and all the employees are like, you need to be into AI. We need to just put the pedal down. If you're not pushing AI, we're gonna go bankrupt tomorrow, which is not exactly true, though there is an element of truth in it. But on the other hand, the IT team and the CEO is like, well, where does that data go? And am I losing my position? Is somebody legally, where does it go? And contractually and copyright and strategic advantage? So there's a lot of questions that people don't think about. And I thought, man, you'd be a perfect person to talk through this stuff.
Oh, and I'm so glad to be here. I mean, things have changed. It changes every 2 weeks. It's so rapid that people can't even keep a handle on it. And especially CEOs and especially C-suite leaders that already have a heavy lift in their organization, then go, I have a full-time job of keeping track of what's going on with AI. It can be very overwhelming, but it's so necessary to take a look at it.
So Fractional Chief AI Officer, it's a little bit of a mouthful, right? There's a bunch of extra words there. So you were a little girl like in 5th grade, and you said to yourself as you're finishing your art project, you're like, you know what, teacher, I don't want to do recess today. I want to be a chief AI officer, right? No, when was the moment when you're like, this is the right fit? I need to do fractional chief AI work.
Yeah, well, it really started. It's funny how you said art, because my degree was originally in interior design and graphic design. And so my entry point to AI was more on the creative side. I was a brand strategist. I was using imagery. I wrote books. I did a lot with AI as soon as it came out. I was 0.001 adopter of ChatGPT when it first came out. And I've been using AI ever since. And I just assumed everybody else was doing it too, and then realized they weren't. And so what I saw in the gap between marketing and AI and what was happening with business and their structure and compliance, there's a huge gap that we were missing. And that's where I started to lean into, I can help solve that problem because I've been in it on the other side of it, and I'm bridging the gap.
No, I love this. You and I both have this problem. It's gotten like in the stock market, for instance, I have to write down what I want to do, like purchase, for instance, in the stock market, and I had to give it to my wife, and she has to hold it for 6 months before I'm allowed to do it because my rhythm is so out of phase with most people. I find new technology, I immediately see where you can apply it. I get super excited about it, and about the time I'm like, oh, I guess this was not a thing. About that moment, that's when the rest of most of society picks up and they're like, oh, this is a thing. And I'm like, no, it's not. I already spent a year and a half. No. But AI is here.
Yes.
And immediately I noticed, I was like, "Oh, if you're passing that through an LLM, then it's passing outside of your SOC 2 compliant servers." I mean, it's essentially equivalent to you posting on Reddit and asking questions of the community and being like, "Hey guys, I was, here's my deeply entailed internal workflow and customer data. Can you put this in a form for me?" And then just like somebody randomly on the internet grabs a hold of it, like, "Yeah, here you go back." And I'm like, "Oh, look how fast I did this, boss."
Yes.
And expose all of my company proprietary and customer sensitive data to random people.
Absolutely. And it's happening with tech companies in 2023. That happened with Samsung. They're like, here's this
Mm.
resource that you can use, but don't put our data in it. And they missed that second line of don't put our data in it. And it crashed their whole system. And they had to reboot everything and take everybody off of it. I mean, it was the not that people assume not to do that. You can't make any assumptions in that. And I did it. I had no idea. I was putting all kinds of things in until someone says, you can't do. I'm like, no, I had no idea. And I know that there's way more people that don't know it than do know it. And that's really important.
Well, so I grew up in the quasi-classified world. Everything you touch in aerospace is what's called ITAR compliant, which means you can't send some stuff over certain borders because it could be potentially sensitive.
Yeah.
But it's a remarkably lower standard than you would think. I mean,
Mm.
you go back to loose lips sink ships idea from 1940s, and just to put this into perspective, if I know that you're a sailor and I suddenly see you having a steak and lobster dinner, I know you're about to deploy. And
Mm.
if somebody else on my team knows that that ship has a certain range and maybe where there's these certain shipping lanes over here, or you're within range of attacking a certain location, just the fact that I say, yeah, I'm going to be gone for a couple of days, I'm going to be gone for a couple of days, when combined with a lot of other information, tells the adversary exactly what they need. And so loose lips, even on innocuous, silly things, loose lips really do sink ships. And AI, we're kind of hitting that of, well, the first chat, you didn't really say that, but you did say it in that chat, and you started a new chat and you said it over here, and somebody else in your company said something else innocuous. And pretty soon that redacted document, it's got a lot of holes in it.
Absolutely. I mean, it's AI is built for pattern recognition in a way that we don't normally see things. And so it's picking up on all of that and putting it together at rapid speed.
Yeah, totally. So, I mean, I come at this from a I'm losing my company information perspective. But
Mhm.
is there another way we should come at it? Because I know you talk about lawsuits. Well, me
Yeah.
putting some stuff out there, there's some legal risk, but tell me about some of the other risks that are maybe not so apparent.
Yeah, I mean, some people think of they assume this needs to go under the IT or CTO, and they think
Mm.
it's cybersecurity. Where cybersecurity, not in every case, but a lot of cases, it's what's coming in the building. So they think, okay, we're going to give this to our CTO; they'll take care of it. It's tech. Well, I am not a technologist, but I'm the human side of AI, and that's the part that I bring to it. Of you have to really consider the humans that are using this tech in a different way that we've never seen before. And it's not even just that, it's getting embedded into the software that you use today. So you may be using Workday, you may be using
Mm.
Salesforce, you may be using HubSpot, Grammarly. People don't even realize that was AI. It's embedded in your systems, even if you're not accepting it on default. Even Google yesterday sent out an email to all the workspaces. If you're an admin, it said, hey, by the way, we've turned this on. Now they're doing their due diligence to say that. But if you don't go turn it off and you don't go make sure things are unchecked, you've just now invited it into your system. And most people are not aware of how to manage that.
Yeah. So, all right. So that's kind of like I'm doing work on proprietary government or just company proprietary data, and and I only pull out my data in this little secure zone, and then I give it to my intern, and I'm like, all right, can you fill out this form? And your intern's like, great, and then they walk outside of the secure data, and they post it on Reddit, and they get somebody to do their work for them, and then they take it back, and then they give it back to you, and they're like, yeah, here you go, boss. And in that case, the boss, I'm like, oh, I have an AI policy. But really, there's all sorts of open gaps and open windows and opportunities for the data to sneak out.
Absolutely.
I know that there's been a lot of information that when you use AI and it goes into the LLMs, that becomes discoverable in court.
Mhm.
So you're losing a whole lot of control if you haven't thought through the second and third order implications of the tools that you're using.
Absolutely. Well, just on that note alone, people are taking their, let's say they met with their lawyer and they're putting their contracts in to go, hey, can you check this out? Well,
Oh,
anything that you had a conversation with your lawyer and you put it in that chatbot, it is now able to be used in court. The what would have been something that they could not have used before. So there's lots of different holes. And what you mentioned, I'll go back to what you were talking about just a minute ago. Shadow AI is what you call that, when
mm,
people are using other technology and or the software has it on default, that shadow AI. Have you ever heard an employee say, I know I'm not supposed to, but something's coming on the other end of it. And a lot of times employees aren't using it. They're not saying, I'm not going to do this policy. I mean, how many people have outskirted certain policies just to make it efficient and effective? They're like, but I found a tool that I played around with at home that's much more effective than this clunky chatbot that you all created for me. I'm just going to use this. You all won't know. I'll tell you I used AI. We've checked the boxes. But the reality is they may not have been. And then I'll share this really quickly too. Microsoft Copilot. A lot of organizations use that. It's 365 can be your enterprise, meaning you have given them this. It's got security around it, but they can go to their home and do Microsoft Copilot 365 as well. And if it's their personal, it's not the same. And most people don't know that.
mm. No, this is yes, this is it's such a frustrating and sticky point because AI is that impressive. Now, I ran into this with automations and like out of office automations, let's just say. There'd be times when I maybe wanted to send just alerts of meetings to my personal. This is like we're talking about 2000 time frame here. So um, this is before I could have Microsoft 360 on my phone, right?
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
BlackBerry or maybe even before. Um, I wanted to make sure that I was up to date on anything that was important that was coming through my team. And so I set up an auto forwarding thing that said, if you do this, forward it to my personal email because I just wanted to get, well, really quickly you discover you can't do that because
Mhm.
there's so much stuff. I mean, just the 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 addressees, like the two line,
Mhm.
or the subject of the email, or that those first two sentences, like that can't be on my personal email.
Mhm.
And so you run into this stuff really quickly. But yet we do need to stay up with AI. We do need it. It's so massively productive. Um, oh, I'm so I what I desperately wanted to do, again, I worked in engineering department, is I wanted to hire some folks from India to do engineering work for me,
Mhm.
right? That would the
Mhm.
virtual assistant thing was really cheap. Like they did great work and it was really cheap. But I couldn't do that. So I feel hobbled because I know there's these tools out there, automations and virtual assistants,
Mhm.
but I can't use them. So we're falling behind. So talk to me about this tension, maybe some of the clients that you've had or the folks you've talked to. How do you suggest folks navigate this tightrope between we need to move fast because that's what the market demands,
Mhm.
and frankly, that's also just what's good for people, but we also need to do it wisely. So how do you walk that tight line?
Well, because things are moving so quickly, you really need somebody that this is their lane. This is a thing that they do, like a
Mm,
fractional CAIO, which is what I do, that can stay up on target of what is happening. Because honestly, it is a full-time job for somebody to do that. And what is recommended now, we didn't even talk about the insurance side of it and the coverage and the assurance that you have if you did have an AI infraction. What is now going to be the practice moving forward is creating governance committees within your organization. And really, that is cross sectional. So it's no longer just the CTO's job to be the one that holds the space for this type of technology. It's your CEO, it's your HR director, it's the C suite coming together to have those decisions to know what is our policy, who holds the power in that decision, and what are we going to do when these things happen, and what are we going to roll out to our employees. So it's a full team effort to know what is happening and how you're going to deploy these things.
yeah, I mean, I'm just a little exhausted.
Yeah.
Like, being responsible is so frustrating. Um, so many times at work, I remember going through the ISO 9001 audits and the 9500 audits.
Mhm.
And I would keep I would go to the standards board and I would just get my little uncontrolled standards document and store it on my desktop. Um, And I remember, so the auditor found that and they made a big deal out of it. As a doer, as a daily worker, I was like, wow, they're just making my job harder. But as a daily worker, what you're not thinking about is there are far-reaching implications. We're exposing data. We are internal communications are now exposed. Competitors can see what we're doing. We may not even be able to patent this anymore because it's now disclosed in a certain way. It can be so. It seems like the efficiency of AI is now being offset by the need for this new position.
Yes and no. So the data is showing that the companies, so about 25% of enterprise organizations are already bringing in a CAIO to use this seat to build out these governance committees. And what has been proven so far are the organizations that are already doing this are more effective and more efficient moving forward. I'll liken it to one of my favorite trips is going on the Blue Ridge Parkway. You're driving down these wavy roads on the hills in North Carolina, and on either side, there's a cliff. Well, if you don't have those guardrails on there, how slowly are you going to go over through those roads? And really, what the governance does is provide the guardrails so you can go faster with this technology. But without it, you're actually slowing your growth and slowing the way that you can move forward within your organization safely.
No, I love this. One of the things that you say is that every workforce decision is an AI. Every AI decision is a workforce decision.
Yeah.
And I like that framing because it expresses, at the end of the day, this is a tool, and we as the bosses, we as the strategic leaders of the organizations have to decide how to use this tool correctly. It comes with massive upsides, but it has some very, very slippery slope downsides. The side of that road that you're talking about that has the guardrail on it, you fall off that slope really, really quickly.
Yeah.
What are some symptoms that folks can know, hey, I need to schedule a call with Holly here. This is something I do need to talk about. Maybe folks in my organization are already using this and I'm not really aware of it. Maybe the tools that we talked about are using it. I'm not aware of it. What is it? How do I begin that conversation? What am I feeling before I start that conversation? And then how do I start that conversation?
One of the things is if you have already implemented AI tools in your organization, you've done, enterprise with ChatGPT or Claude, any of these generative AI, if you have already put that out and you have not already created a policy and update that policy regularly, quarterly at minimum, you are already at risk for many things that you may not even be aware of yet. And then if you have wide range of tech stack, meaning the different softwares that you're using and it's embedded in that, you need to make sure that everything is on default. So are your employees adopting it? 75% of AI implementations fail due to not actually rolling it out properly, not allowing the employees to know how to be taught how to use it properly. What are the policies and the safeguards and the guardrails? And so if you really want all of this investment that you're putting into AI to give you a return on that investment of efficiency and effectiveness, along with protecting your organization, you really need to consider that and be the 30% that are having success on their AI.
No, I like that because you also talk about being AI ready and how that. I was just at a leadership conference literally yesterday, and the whole conference was basically how do you get ready for AI? So we as leaders, we know it's this massive thing. We know our competitors are doing it. We're afraid that if we just jump in at the speed of AI, that we're going to be leaving ourselves open. So there's all this AI anxiety. But I like what you said there is it's not our job to solve all the problems in the world. It's our job to think through this is the right tools for us, and these are the good guardrails that we can use. And then really working to train the team to use the product. I remember when I got my first CRM, they called me up, and as part of my purchase for the CRM, I had to do about 40 hours of training. So we did like an hour, a 4-hour set, like several weeks in a row. And when I first got it, I was like, this is absurd. Why do I have to be trained? I just need something that sends out emails for me. But no, they taught me how to make my automations. They taught me how to put in my tags. They taught me how to make my pipelines. They taught me how to, when you get a very powerful tool, you need to take the time to train. You can't just give a chainsaw to a 3-year-old. That's not a good plan.
No.
How long should it take me? So here I am. I'm a business owner. I know that I'm going to, you know what? this month we're doing AI. We're rolling out Chat GPT or Claude, or we're got this conference. How much time do I need to set aside to think about training my team?
Well, first, AI is a skill build, in my opinion, especially with like generative AI. You have people that are now creating jobs around prompt engineering, which means how you're prompting the AI to work for you. So it is not a 90-minute session and you check the box and say, I've taught my employees. You have to give them time. There's proven studies that are saying that if you allot certain amount of time to your employees weekly to say, here's an hour for you to go practice, for you to learn the skill and go practice the skill so you can learn how to move it forward. The other thing that I see a lot of organizations do, marketing of AI has been amazing, but what the deliverable on it is may not be as effective. So you have to really consider, what is the problem I'm trying to solve, and find the software and the programs that support the problem you're trying to solve. And many are just going after the shiny object instead of really going, what does my organization need and how do I get to move it forward?
I see this. This is like the age-old problem of leadership having an idea, right? You're in the shower, you get this idea. Oh, we should do this. Oh, this is going to be amazing. I went to I just went to the conference and they got the Whip It All 9,000. Like we bought one. It's going to be amazing. It's going to revolutionize our wood chipping business.
Mhm.
And then you got to sit back and you're like, well, how do I use it? Do I have floor space for it? All right, it's going to be able to, how much wood can a woodchuck chuck? The wood chipper 9,000 can chuck, 14 logs a minute. Do we even have 14 logs? Like how much, when
Mhm.
and how are we going to use this? Let's pretend that we do chuck all those logs. How do I track that? What is it going to be producing too much scrap? Like, when does it need maintenance? There's a lot of questions that
Absolutely.
you have to think through that are no fun. I mean, I think that we should all just go buy really cool toys. Um, but that's not governance, right? That's just buying really cool toys, and that's the reason that I think it's 80% of small businesses fail within 5 or 10 years. Is there's a difference between saying this is something we should implement, it's got a lot of power, and saying, and this is the value it will provide, and this is the metric that we're moving by accepting this.
Yeah, I had a woman that was sharing with me that her CEO was on a flight coming back from somebody was sitting next to him, and she was an HR rep that said he brought in this technology that we already had technology that met that and was doing exactly what we needed, but it had some extra tool that actually was there. And that's the beauty of having these governance committee talks, is people are then aware in every department what you're doing and how you're deploying it, and you actually can reduce your tech stack to be able to be more effective in knowing, well, Sue down the hall, the HR consultant, already has that software and it's working. We can implement it on our team and be able to use this and roll it out in a broader stroke. So it's not slowing people down, it's actually making them more effective with the resources and the tools that they have.
No, that's good. That's good. So all right. So Holly, let's say I hire you.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
does it look like to work with somebody? Do I just give you an office and I give you a Microsoft account and you just do magic for me? Do we do a workshop? Do we do a lunch and learn? Are you going to train my people? What's kind of in your mind? What's a good path forward to when you're looking at that fractional
Yeah.
officer?
Yeah. So, how it really first starts is I take an assessment to find out what your AI literacy is first, because you can't lead and have conversations around AI if you're not literate. That doesn't mean you have to be fluent and know how to do every part of tech, but you have to know what you're looking at. So, we first figure out where you are in your AI literacy scope. And then in the seat that you hold, how literate are you on the decisions on, if you're a CEO, what decisions do you need to make in that seat? And if you're an HR rep, so for instance, HR, they have lots of different recruiting tools. Well, right now, a lot of the recruiting tools are under fire for bias, AI bias around it. And so like Workday is we were talking about law here. They're in the middle of litigation because of the recruitment tool and the way it was ranking people out of bias based on the data that it was inputted and not on the human in the loop. And so what I really do is help us engage in keeping the human in the loop. And then we look at what technology we can deploy and what does that look like. But first, we have to find out if you're AI literate, and we bring everybody to the table. And whoever is not trained to be in that space, they get trained. And then each seat has certain policies and things they get to look for. So they have their own KPI. They have their own things that they can track. And then they come together monthly or quarterly to go, where are we at this? Because they need to be up to date. And someone like me brings in anything that has changed with law, with industry, with insurance, so they can make the most informed decision based on all the information that is there.
No, I love it. I love it. It is a full-time activity to keep abreast of this, right? This is an activity. What size company does it make sense? If I'm a lawn care business and I got 30 guys, they're all undesked, they're out there, weed eating and cutting lawn.
Mhm.
I don't know that there's a lot of AI work. Probably your marketing department needs it.
Mhm.
Which sort of companies make sense to bring in a fractional CIO?
Yeah, for me, my sweet spot is around 50 to broad range of 5,000. I think a lot of the larger enterprise they're already bringing a full-time position in. So they already know that this is something that is needed. They've brought them in on their team. But for those that are like, we don't really know if we need a full-time position, but we know we need somebody that this is their lane and their focus, that is more where I come in. I can help build the structure and then let them lead it, or I can continue leading it and guiding it so they know somebody is focused on their team. And then I also have other team members I can bring in to fill out the gaps if they don't have expertise. So let's say you have a lawn care person who has marketing and they have a couple other, but they don't have the expertise in some of the technology. I can bring other consultants in to support making sure the best decisions are made for your business.
No, I love this. In the military world, there's a huge, and this is the military is a little bit ahead on this because it's such life and death work, and the speed of warfare is so fast.
Mhm.
Um, but there's a huge amount of energy about, and you brought this up earlier. Um, when does the human need to make a decision, and when should the algorithm make a decision?
Mhm.
And that is a really leadership, human oriented sort of a question.
Yeah.
I think Good to Great, Jim Collins's book, was talking about this 20, 30 years ago now, that if you say, I make this many dollars per this activity. So CVS, I think, does this many dollars per city, and Walgreens does this many dollars per visit. So when your strategy is this many dollars per city, you stock certain types of things and you're just trying to put as many CVSs up as you can. If you're saying, I want to make this much money per visit, you stock different items and you orient your store in a different way. Maybe you only put one store in the city, or
Mhm.
maybe just two. Um, and you brought this up, when we're looking at AI, really getting clear about these decisions should be made by AI, and then this is how the data should flow up, and then this is the signals that I should be seeing at that more abstract level.
Mhm.
That as a nerd, that gets me really excited about leadership. Like, that's good strategic tactical leadership,
Yeah.
systemic leadership. And so while AI allows us to do things faster, now we have to be much more clear on what we want AI to do for us. So it
Right.
used to be um, humans had to make these decisions, but humans were involved and it was kind of a slow decision tree. So you didn't have to really be super clear. Like, yeah, we'll let Jim handle it.
Mhm.
Well, now Jim's an AI. And he's able to do 10,000 more of those a day than we thought he could.
Mhm.
So getting really crisp and clear on this is what I want Jim to do, I think is
That's going to be the biggest. So a lot of skill sets that people, soft skills that people lost, and strategic and clarity. I'll know just even practicing over the past 3 years for myself, I'm much more clear about the questions that I'm asking just to humans now, because I'm like, oh, I know I need to be more clear to this to give direction, that it hones our skills. And the human is going to be the most important part of the loop. We can't just let it go and run. And then also for those that are doing agentic AI, that is like the pinnacle of where people are trying to move to. If you don't have the
yeah.
right SOPs, if you don't have the right context, you're not going to be able to get the right outcome.
Oh, yeah. Actually, I tell people, if you want to start having some R&R, if you want to be able to take that vacation, you got to master your R&Rs, which is your roles and responsibilities.
Yes.
And people have kind of been able to float that under the we just need to hire good people, or the negative version, which is I can't find good people this day. So many of folks that I've worked with and frankly passed on, they say, well, I can't find good people, when what they really mean is people can't intuitive what I don't have clarified in my mind. I need to find that really great shop, foreman who intuited what I wanted them to do. And I've never had to be clear about it before because he was always doing it, but now he retired and kids these days don't want to work as hard. Well, maybe the kids these days deserve a little clarity on your side. Anyway, they're not here, so I can scold people, right? But
Yes.
but I really this is why I'm most excited about AI. Is it gives us as leaders the opportunity to get really clear and make a really amazing organizations, but it also forces the lazy ones to it kind of forces them out of the either forces them to adapt and get clear, or I think that natural selection will take its course.
It amplifies whatever is there. If it's excellent, it amplifies it. If it's dysfunctional, it
Mm.
amplifies it. Governance committee can help support navigating that.
I love that. It's such a more positive version of what I was just complaining about. And I think that maybe that's the most compelling reason to get yourself a fractional chief AI officer. I don't know that you need somebody full time all the time, especially if you're that smaller company that's in that 50-person range.
Mhm.
I argue that executives don't do executive functions all of the time.
Mhm.
There was a time when you had to buy an executive full time so you could get their executive focus part time. But in the world that we live in today, especially in AI world,
Mhm.
I think a fractional CEO, COO, CAIO makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And that's why we're positioning in that, because people are needing to piece together the things that work well. And in the age of AI, you can have a marketing director be able to do so much of your AI that you don't need some of those seats, but you do need to have the governance around it. And that is one part of what I say of, if you have an HR, maybe it's not an HR role, but it's somebody that is doing those tasks, needs to consider how AI is impacting it. You may not have the hat that says CEO on it, but you're doing those tasks and roles. You need to be considerate of what you need to know.
Yeah. We're kind of running out of the show, but I do want to pull one more string with you here. And that's the idea that salespeople are responsible for selling you their goods, right? You mentioned earlier that AI, which by the way is great at making marketing content, has
Mhm.
done an amazing job of marketing itself.
Yeah.
But I don't think that we as leaders should wait for a salesperson to tell us what we should buy. I think we should sit down before we get in that and we should say, this is what my company needs. This is my plan. Now let me go find the right tool to execute that.
Absolutely.
Um, how can you facilitate that conversation? Because AI does so many things. It does voice calls now. It does video. It does marketing. It does HR. It does legal work. It does. Now I know the lawyers right now are like, it doesn't do legal work. It does legal work. It does. Um, how can I sit down as a leader and get ahead of this so that AI is supporting me rather than AI leading me by the nose?
Okay, well, I call it the triple A. You know, you have triple A for your car. This is triple A for your business. You first have to just assess what you have. Like you just said, kind of what is the problem, but you need to assess what software you currently have and what does it have included in it. You may have signed a contract 10 years ago and now it has everything you need. You just haven't gotten in there to find out. So you first want to assess it, and then you want to anchor in, this is what we're going to use. This is why you need buy-in from the employees and what it is, and then you're going to act. You're going to start to build that governance and that policy and that training around it so it actually gets used. Because just to buy a product to say it solves my problem, but if you don't do the other parts, it sits on a shelf and it doesn't do what you need it to do.
I love it. Well, we're out of time for the show today. I'm going to give you the last 2 minutes here. Just talk to the audience. Tell us, last 2 minutes are yours.
Okay, wonderful. Well, if you are in a business right now and you're going, oh my gosh, my head is blown back by AI, I don't know what to do, I am glad to do a call with you. Or the quiz that I told you about at the beginning, where I said to assess where you're at. I have an AI readiness quiz that you can take right now, any employee, to really find out, hey, how AI literate am I right now? Or you can come and meet with me and I'll do a 15-minute phone call just to assess if I'm the right fit or not. But I'm glad to support you on whatever it is on your next journey, because the future of the workforce is around AI governance and how we protect not only our business, but our employees.
I love it. Such a human perspective on AI. For those that are looking to take that AI readiness assessment, it's down here in the comments. Go reach out. Find Holly Hartman on LinkedIn. I think it's actually just Harley LinkedIn/Holly Hartman. Tell her you saw her on the Drew Sutton Leadership Show. This is specifically for those of you that have that larger business. You realize that 50, 100, 1,000 people are depending on you. You know that we do enough of these widgets that we need to like AI is an imperative, but we also know we'd be a great target for a lawsuit. And probably my insurance policy has something that I haven't thought through. Get Holly on the phone, do the AI assessment, remove the AI anxiety, and start getting ready to move faster and beat your competition without sacrificing the governance that you know you're required to do. With that, tell Holly you saw her on the Drew Sutton Leadership Show. We are